Ghostly, haunting, chilling to the bone. Paranormal at Dusk was born from an insatiable curiosity to explore the unknown. Welcome to an eerily fun podcast episode with Paranormal Podcast at Dusk. Happy haunting. What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining Paranormal Podcast at Dusk, where we talk all things ghostly, haunting, and chilling to the bone. Today I have with me a very special guest, my mom.
Hello.
Say hi to Mom, everyone. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. So on this episode, we decided we'd discuss the dreaded red house. Now, if you're not familiar, you might want to check out my first introductory episode where I explained to you that that house was very creepy. This is where I feel most of my hauntings began in my lifetime. How do you feel about that house?
I do have creepy feelings in some places. I didn't feel it didn't really feel that creepy to me, except your room sometimes, especially like around the closet. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's just me because but I do remember you being very scared, different things happening. I remember you coming to my room very scared and sleeping in my room.
Like a grown teenager too. Like and I was very much and still am the I want to be tough type person. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't want to show fear whatsoever, but I was 15 years old coming down to your room crying and saying there's something in my room. Yeah. So, it's not like I was this 5-year-old kid.
No.
Things were haunting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've also had sleepovers. So some of your friends would say that they saw things or heard things, so it wasn't just you.
Yeah. It's nice when there's someone there to back me up to have also experienced it, because then I don't look so loony. Yeah. But yeah, that house is freaky. I didn't, it's like I said before, I didn't feel like the house was haunted, I was being haunted is how I really felt. Because when I traveled throughout the house, I didn't feel anything in the kitchen. And even in the basement, which is where typically children or teenagers may feel more creeped out or whatever.
Yes.
It wasn't there. It was my bedroom. There was something about it. It's darn weird.
It is weird. And it wasn't an old house.
No.
It's not an old, old house in the 1800s. And I don't know. I can't explain it.
There is no explanation.
And you did have a feeling sometimes like something's watching you. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, constantly. It's
okay.
It was it got to the point, the first few years weren't as terrible, but I feel like as the time passed, it's almost like it was making a connection with me, like it was clinging to me. So I was not left alone in my room, ever. Even in the daytime when I was just singing to the radio, I always felt like something was there, and I just kind of tried to ignore it. The more I gave it attention, paid it attention, the more things would happen. So I very much tried to not give it any attention. But when I would start to feel scared, more things would occur. Yeah, that room was definitely freaky. It was the wall with the closet. So I wouldn't say it was the closet. The freakiest part of that room, honestly, was the corner where the window was, next to the closet. I felt truly there was this black mass there in that corner of the room. And the more you look at it, the bigger it got, type of thing. It felt like not one thing. It felt like it was almost like a space for whatever wanted to come out could come out. So yeah, I felt like there was constantly activity in that room. I couldn't get away from it. And it was to the point where I would go and sleep even in the living room. I would go lay on the couch instead because I felt like it wasn't coming out of my room. It didn't follow me around. It was just made its home in my room. So
that is very creepy.
It is creepy. But some of the experiences I had there were I'd often see glowing red eyes in the window. And that is really interesting because come to find out, I won't name any names, not to get them involved or anything. Yeah. But we have some neighbors who let me know that their son also experienced red eyes in their window, and then their neighbor, who is a year younger than me, so he's more like, he's like a tough adult, and he was saying that in his childhood he also saw red eyes in his window. And what's unique to this is that all of our bedroom windows were on the front end, like where the road is. All our bedrooms were all on the same side of the road. So I don't know if there was like really like a creature out. I don't know what that was. But that, like, the red eyes didn't feel like it was part of my bedroom. That felt like a separate situation. But yeah, where two other men, they're grown men at this point, told me they also experienced this.
Something to mention is that the red house and these two other houses were all very close to each other on the same side of the street also. So there was the red house, then there was two houses, then the third house down was the boy who was a year younger than you. And the house after that was the other boy that saw the red eyes also. And for me, it's the mother of the youngest boy that just one day started talking to me about this, and I hadn't told her what you would tell me that you saw. And she started talking to me about, how her son was saying that he would see, and then she said that the neighbor's son, who was a year younger than you, started talking to her one day about it, that he was seeing it, and she hadn't told him, I believe.
Yeah.
So
They had a bonfire and invited over the one who's closer to my age, and he was just randomly telling your friend about this, and she was like, oh my gosh, no way. My son, the youngest, had been experiencing this his whole life. So it's like, that's not a coincidence. Like, of anything any of us could have said, that's what we saw, all three of us. And we didn't speak to each other about this. I mean,
No.
the youngest one is a good decade or more younger than me. No, we're actually literally 10 years apart. The other
Right.
one's just a year younger, but we didn't like hang out. So there's no reason that we all have this same story of these red eyes peering in our window. And what's funny is that all of these, like the two boys, have siblings who did not see it, and my sibling didn't see it. So curiouser and curiouser.
right.
But I did have friends who came for sleepovers who saw it, and that's the thing.
Yes, I remember one of your friends, you and her came out to me and were saying that you saw that. So I went outside, I went in the window in your room first, looked around, then I went outside and looked around, and by this time, like, I didn't see anything. But this other, my friend who was telling me about her son, after finding this out, then she didn't know that you had told me you saw that. So when she told me about her son and the neighbor's son, then I told her, oh my God, really? Because
It feels more like a confirmation.
Shania would say this to me.
Another thing that I experienced a lot in that room was knocking on my window. It wasn't just the red eyes. It was often and like a solid knock on the window. And I mean, that happened often enough. And I had things like go missing. And I'd go and ask, like, Justin or you, did you see my glasses? And I just checked on my dresser where I always put them. My makeup, my hair curling iron, and my glasses were always on the dresser. They weren't there. I come back to the room, they're right in plain sight. And like, it happened too many times for it to be like forgetfulness. And I'd often have like objects fly off my bed, like no reason. Like, sure, we had animals, but I don't see them picking up like my pencil off my bed and throwing it on the floor. Like, it's just
No.
weird.
Yeah.
A lot of weird things. Yeah, that was the red house. I was a full-out teenager, too scared to sleep in my bedroom, so I'd go sleep on the couch or oftentimes
In our room.
I wouldn't even tell you guys. I would just go lay on the floor in your bedroom,
know you
and you'd
would,
wake
man.
up and like step on me.
That happened.
Yeah, more than one time. So, yeah, that was the red house. That was the beginning of my haunting experiences. I feel like I was definitely really scared at the time because that's when things were like really starting. But I am wouldn't say grateful for it, but I am grateful that like it opened my senses to that world because I'm not like as scared now. I fully believe it's one of those things where you're questioning like, is this real? Am I losing my mind? But it definitely opened my senses to the other world. Is there anything that you experienced at the Red House, or just from me?
Just from you, really. I don't remember. If I did, I don't remember. I've had
It
a lot
traumatized
of.
you so much that you forgot.
I really, I've had experiences in the house that I grew up in.
Let's talk about
But
that.
so the house I grew up in, there was originally an old homestead there that burnt down.
I don't think I
Yeah.
knew that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And actually, I remember when my dad, your grandfather, was digging in the back. I think he was digging maybe to make like a drainage for the backyard. Anyways, I remember finding old dishes, like pieces of broken old, antique dishes. And I had found it was like a necklace with a big, like an Indian,
Okay.
like leather work type thing.
Like
And
almost Dreamcatcher vibes.
kind of, yeah,
Like woven.
something. Yeah, so I wish I had saved it.
No, you don't.
But a little child,
You do
don't
not want to
think.
take that.
No? Okay. Because anyways, I had found that there. So yeah, we found little things
Yeah.
that,
From whoever was there before.
right. And there was homesteads like around there in the past, not far from where our house was. I remember going for a walk in the woods with my dad and seeing a well, an old well, and my dad had put boards on top just in case someone would come, walking through the woods one day and fell in it,
yeah.
right? So I do remember that on that land, but the house I grew up in, that house was creepy. My brother and one of my cousins have had experiences. And that house was creepy. And my dad built that house. So it wouldn't be the actual house, it would have been what was there before.
Like the land or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever inhabited it before.
Right. So I do remember things. And one of the big things that I will mention, I had friends over and we were clowning around. I will
As children
never,
do.
yes. And after that, I said, I will never touch anything like that again. We were in the kitchen, and my mom and dad weren't smokers, but they had ashtrays for their friends that were smokers. So when they would come over, they would, take the ashtray and put it on the table or wherever they were. So this night, this ashtray was empty, a clean, empty ashtray on the counter in the kitchen where no one was standing. So the ashtray is just there on the counter, laying there doing nothing. And a friend of mine, a couple of friends, we decided we were going to make a paper Ouija board.
The dumb story.
So, yeah. So, we drew out and cut out a Ouija board. One of my friends made it and then made the thing. Anyway, so they were asking questions and that, and all of a sudden we hear a big pock. So we all got freaked out, like young girls, right? I'm talking, probably 13, 14, years old. Anyways, we look where the pop come from, the noise, and the ashtray blew up. I cannot explain it. Have you ever seen
the
an
tray
ashtray?
itself?
It was no, like the ashtray was like a glass ashtray.
Yeah. And the glass blew, or what?
The glass.
Oh.
The glass literally blew and fell into pieces on the counter. And nobody was near it.
Yeah.
Like it was alone anyways, let me tell you, these little girls got rid of that Ouija board pretty dang quick.
Yeah.
A paper Ouija board. We never, I don't know if my friends ever did anything like that again, but I can tell you I never did or will ever do that again. It really scared us.
Yeah,
You
bet.
know, it was scary because we all were like, how could that have happened? So maybe somebody out there knows how that could have happened. I don't know. But we never could explain it. Just a glass ashtray sitting on the counter.
And like all this time that your parents had this ashtray, never been an issue, but the minute you pull out a Ouija
Right.
board,
And I mean, they've had company, this was an, ashtray that their friends had ashes and cigarettes in, and it's been washed I don't know how many times, and it was clean and laying on the counter doing absolutely nothing. Nobody was near it, and it just went puck,
that's gross.
and it fell into a bunch of pieces.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can say these little girls were scattering and we
Scattered like the ashtray.
Yeah, we were.
Gone.
Yeah,
Do you
that
remember
gave
what
us a scare.
you guys were you like contacting something? Like, do you remember that?
You
or-
know what? We had been to Rebecca's grave,
Oh no.
and I mean, this is a long time ago,
Yeah.
but if memory serves me right, I think we were asking questions like
Regarding
about, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
That'll do it.
we never touched it again.
I bet. Now, I use a lot of different like paranormal investigation devices, but I will never touch a Ouija board. There's just something about it, and I know that it is originally a game. Like, it's Hasbro's, it's a game, it's a children's game. I actually went to the Ouija museum and saw like 100 like in a museum of Ouija boards. And there's like a Barbie one. Like, there's Barbie on it.
What?
You know, like there's like
Oh my
it's
God.
technically it's a toy. But it's the fact that I really truly believe in intentions. Like, before I go do any kind of investigations, I set my intentions and stuff. Well, what are you intending to do with a Ouija board? It's that because of this paranormal world and like what us who are searching for that type of thing are using it for, it's just opening up connections, and it's the fact that you have to say goodbye, and a lot of people forget to say goodbye. Like, when you were playing on your paper thing, I bet you didn't think to say, okay, we're done with the conversation, goodbye.
No.
You probably just put it in the garbage. You know? So what did that leave like trailing behind? Like, the whole purpose of it, let's say, for the sake of saying, we believe you contacted something. It blew up the ashtray. You didn't close the connection. There was no, so that's where there's a lot of things with the
Kinda
Ouija
creepy.
board. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just don't trust it. There's just a lot about it that,
And you're nothing like me. I am chicken. I believe in these things, and I am so chicken that I try to stay away from any of it. I don't want to see anything, hear anything. I am a believer and I fear it.
yeah.
I don't. You
I still
are,
have fear.
Do
but
you? You don't seem to have like that much fear. I don't know.
I don't have fear about what's beyond and like the unknown and stuff like that. I fear evil.
Yes.
So I still have, because I
That's
do
the
believe
thing.
in really bad. I think if there's really good out there, it's got to be a balance. So I fear the possibility of bad things being able to do things on this plane. Aside from that, I don't have any fear about like contacting like a legit ghost, you know, like some lady who passed away and she's just lingering. Like, I'm not scared of that stuff. And even like the things like moving around, like if a book falls off my shelf or anything, like I'm not scared of that. But I get these like senses of gross and darkness, and that's where I don't like it. And I feel, even though it's just a game, there's a tie to Ouija boards that are dark, and that's why I'll never touch them. Well, I think that about wraps up our origin haunted house stories. We got to talk about the red house and talk about the house you grew up in. And I think it's safe to say we both have lived and experienced haunted houses. Yes.
Yes. And
Okay.
I don't care to experience any more experience.
You're done. You're like, this is enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on for an episode.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited that you're doing this. I think you've got a lot to tell people, because I know a lot of stories you've told me.
Like, that's just the beginning, right? Like,
I can't wait for you to tell everyone out there the things that you've told me. It's amazing the experiences you've had. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah,
I'm
me
excited
too.
for this channel, and I'll be watching every single episode. Although I don't want these things to happen to me, because I'm like really chicken, but I love hearing about all these things
It's so
happening
intriguing.
out there to other people.
to other people. You're like, take my daughter. I'm fine.
Actually, I always, and you can vouch for this, I'm always saying to her, Shania, be careful though, because I don't want something to follow you or stick to you, or be sure you're safe. I worry about you doing this because I am chicken. I am a believer. I do believe in there's something more than just us, you know, and there's a lot of things that we can't explain. We don't know what it is. And
that's what this channel is all about.
yes,
I've explained that this is basically just born out of a sheer curiosity for the unknown, and I want to unveil everything that I can. So I hope you join us on this magical, ghostly trip. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube at Paranormal at Dusk, and if you're listening on Spotify to Paranormal Podcast at Dusk, thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to see more videos with lots of paranormal activity and ghostly stories, check out the YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching. Happy haunting!
I'm just having a lot of funny thoughts. I'm thinking, yeah.